The smell hit me first. That metallic tang humans carry. Sweat and iron. Fear, maybe, though I was learning not to trust my nose around their species. I adjusted my recording implant. Third time in 10 minutes. Nervous habit. The brass would want every detail of this summit, especially if it went sideways, which it was about to. The human delegation sat at the far end of the crescent-shaped table. 5 of them. 3 obvious veterans, scarred, gray-haired, the kind who'd seen real combat. One diplomat in those ridiculous formal robes they favored, and the kid. Couldn't have been more than 20 in their years. 16, maybe. Small even by human standards. Dark hair falling in his eyes, kept fidgeting with a data pad, not looking at anyone. Pathetic, rumbled Gorvax, the hegemony's war chief. His 4 arms gestured dismissively. They send children to negotiate territorial disputes. I tapped my claws against the table. Tap, tap, tap. Another nervous habit. My aide kept shooting me looks. The Zelthran ambassador, all tentacles and superiority complex, shifted in her biosuit. Perhaps we should address the adults in the room. That got a reaction from the human diplomat, Harrison, I think. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing, just glanced at the kid who was still staring at his pad. I'd studied human facial expressions for 3 cycles now, part of my job as liaison officer. That look wasn't protective, it was expectant. Tap, tap, tap. I propose a test, announced Veltar, the Corthanian representative. He was young for his species, barely 200 years, and twice as arrogant as he should be. Before we discuss redistributing the outer colonies. The humans went still. All of them. Even the kid looked up. I'd seen that stillness before. Just once. On Kepler, 442b, when a pack of dire wolves cornered my survey team. Right before they moved. Veltar continued, oblivious. Combat assessment. A single representative from each delegation. Winner's species gains primary consideration in the negotiations. Combat? The human diplomat's voice stayed level. Professional. This is a diplomatic summit. All diplomacy is warfare by other means, Gorvax laughed. Your own species taught us that. The kid still hadn't spoken, just set down his data pad with deliberate care. I caught his expression for half a second. Not fear, not anger. Calculation. Tap, tap. I forced my claws still. Very well, Harrison said slowly. We accept. The room erupted. 12 species, all talking at once. The Nexus station's AI chimed warnings about elevated stress indicators. Someone's translator was malfunctioning, spitting out profanity in 6 languages. Through it all, the kid sat perfectly still. When the chaos settled, Veltar was grinning with all 4 of his facial mandibles. Excellent. My species will, of course. I send our finest warrior caste. No. The word cut through the room like a blade. The kid had spoken. His voice was quiet, but it carried. No. Veltar's mandibles clicked together. You object to our representative? I object to yours representing anything. The kid stood up. He was small, thin, looked like a strong breeze could knock him over. You want a test? Fine, but let's make it interesting. I started recording. Full spectrum. Something was wrong with this picture. And the human veterans weren't intervening. The diplomat was sitting back in his chair. They were all watching the kid like he was in charge. What do you propose? Veltar asked. His tone suggested he was humoring a child. Free for all. Every delegation sends someone. Last one standing wins. Winner takes all. Not just primary consideration. Complete territorial control of the disputed sectors. The silence stretched. I counted my heartbeats. 7, 8, 9. Oh, you're insane, whispered the Drakmarian observer. That's 17 systems. Trillions of credits and resources. Afraid? The kid smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Gorvax's 4 fists hit the table simultaneously. The hegemony accepts proudly. The Corthanian Empire agrees, Veltar said quickly. One by one, the other delegations nodded. Fear of looking weak, mostly. Pride. The usual stupidity that started wars. I should have spoken up, should have called it off. But I was curious now. Subprofessionally curious about what the humans were planning. Tap, 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 my claws wouldn't stay still. Arena level 17, the kid said. 1 hour. Bring whatever weapons you want. Traditional rules. Combatant yields, dies, or leaves the ring. Last one standing wins everything. As the delegations filed out, arguing among themselves, I lingered. The kid was gathering his things. No urgency. And no apparent concern about the fact he'd just volunteered to fight trained killers from a dozen different species. "Excuse me," I called out. "I'm Commander Vex High, Catherian Fleet." He looked up. His eyes were brown, young. But there was something else there. Something that made my scales twitch. "Marcus Chen," he said. "Earth Colonial Marine Corps." "You're military?" "Was," he shrugged. "Retired." I almost laughed. "At 16? 18, actually. And I never said I retired by choice." That stopped me cold. Humans had mandatory service ages. If this kid was discharged early— "What's your specialty?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. Marcus Chen picked up his data pad, smiled that not nice smile again. "Problem solving," he said. "See you in an hour, Commander." I watched him walk away. Small, unassuming. Looked like he couldn't hurt a fly. I'd been wrong about humans before, but never this wrong. My claws started tapping again. Tap, tap, tap. 60 minutes until I found out exactly what kind of problem Marcus Chen knew how to solve. End of personal log entry 847.3-A. Note, request immediate background check on Colonial Marine designation Marcus Chen. Priority. Urgent. The arena stank of old blood and fresh fear. I'd seen gladiatorial combat before. The hegemony loved their spectacle. But this felt different. 12 representatives from 12 species, armed to the teeth, and standing in a circular pit 30 meters across. The observation deck hummed with nervous energy. Tap, tap, tap. I couldn't stop. My aide finally grabbed my wrist. "Sir, your claws are leaving marks in the armrest." I jerked my hand back. Professional composure. Right. Below us, the combatants were taking stock of each other. Gorvax had brought his species' traditional warhammer, 2 meters of blessed steel that could crack starship hulls. The Zelthran representative wore adaptive armor and carried plasma projectors. Veltar had opted for ceremonial blades and an energy shield. Each fighter was a specimen, trained, deadly, products of warrior cultures that had conquered star systems. And then there was Marcus Chen. He stood near the center of the arena in standard colonial marine fatigues. No armor, no obvious weapons. Just a small black case at his feet and that same calm expression he'd worn during negotiations. And the other fighters kept glancing at him. Not with concern, with disdain. The universal look predators gave to prey they weren't hungry enough to bother with yet. They were going to learn. "Arena combat rules in effect," announced the Nexus Station AI. "Combatant may yield verbally, lose consciousness, die, or exit the combat zone. Last combatant standing claims victory. Combat begins in 10 seconds. Marcus knelt and opened his case. 5 seconds. He pulled something out, small, metallic. 3 seconds. Was that a— Begin! The arena exploded into chaos. Gorvax charged immediately, warhammer raised. Standard hegemony tactic, eliminate the weakest opponent first. Behind him, the Corthanian and Drakmarian fighters converged on the same target, Marcus. The kid didn't run, didn't dodge, just stood there holding what I now realized was a simple wrench, maybe 20 centimeters long, standard maintenance tool. They were going to crush him. Gorvax's hammer came down like a meteor, though a killing blow that would have turned any normal human into paste. Marcus stepped aside, not quickly, not desperately, just a casual step to his left, and the hammer hit empty ground hard enough to crack the arena floor. The Corthanian reached him next, four-armed, dual-bladed nightmare that moved like liquid lightning. I'd seen those fighters shred entire squads. Marcus ducked under the first blade, caught the second fighter's wrist with his free hand, twisted. When the crack echoed through the arena, the Corthanian screamed. Two of his arms hung useless. Marcus hit him in the throat with the wrench. Once, the Corthanian went down, not dead, breathing, but out of the fight. Tap, tap, tap. My claws were going again. My aid didn't stop me this time. "What just happened?" whispered the Zelthran ambassador. I couldn't answer. I was too busy watching Marcus Chen systematically dismantle the greatest warriors 12 species had to offer. The Drakmarian came at him with an energy whip. Marcus grabbed the weapon's cord mid-strike, yanked hard enough to send its wielder stumbling, then wrapped the whip around the fighter's own neck. The Drakmarian yielded, gasping. 10 fighters left. They were starting to reassess, circle him properly, coordinate their attacks. Too late. Marcus had moved. Not running, positioning. He'd put his back to the arena wall, forcing them to come at him from one direction. Basic tactical thinking, but perfect execution. The Kethmari champion rushed him, all muscle and chitin, built like a living tank. Unstoppable force meets immovable object. Marcus sidestepped again, used the alien's momentum against him, guided that massive charge straight into the wall. The Kethmari hit the barrier hard enough to dent the reinforced metal, slumped unconscious. 9 fighters. "This is impossible," Veltar's voice crackled over the comm. "He's using basic techniques, and nothing we haven't seen before." That was the problem. Everything Marcus did was basic, textbook, the kind of fighting they taught first-year cadets at military academies across the galaxy. But he was doing it perfectly. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Every dodge precisely calculated, every counterattack exactly lethal enough to remove an opponent without killing them. It wasn't superhuman. It was just human, efficient, practical, boring. The hegemony fighter realized he was in trouble, or went wide. Marcus stepped inside its arc, went wide. Marcus stepped inside its arc, grabbed Gorvax's primary arm, and used the alien's own weapon weight to throw him across the arena. 8 fighters. "Status report," Harrison's voice came through the observation deck comm. The human diplomat sounded almost bored. "How's Marcus doing?" I found my voice. "He's winning. And decisively." "Good. Kid needs the practice." Practice? Below us, the remaining fighters were panicking. They'd stopped trying to coordinate, started acting like a mob, desperate, sloppy, fatal. Marcus picked them apart like a surgeon. The Velthani went down to a nerve strike that left him temporarily paralyzed. The Quellian yielded after Marcus demonstrated he could break the fighter's weapon arm in 12 different places. The Rythak tried to surrender, but tripped over his own feet backing away and knocked himself unconscious on the arena wall. 5 fighters became 3, became 2, became 1. Marcus Chen stood alone in the center of the arena, still holding his wrench, not even breathing hard. The silence stretched for 10 seconds, 20, a full minute. "Combat concluded," the AI announced. "Victor, Marcus Chen, representing the Human Colonial Alliance." The arena stayed quiet. No cheering, no celebration. Just the sound of 12 species trying to process what they'd witnessed. I started my final log entry, fingers shaking. "This is Commander Vex High, post-combat analysis. Timestamp 848.7 Galactic Standard. Tap, tap, tap. The human representative achieved victory through, I'm not sure how to classify this. Superior tactics? No. His opponents were skilled tacticians. Superior physical capability? Absolutely not. By every measurable standard, he should have lost. I watched Marcus walk toward the arena exit. Still calm, still unassuming. I believe we've been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about human military doctrine. We assumed their strength lay in technology, ships, weapons, industrial capacity. Marcus disappeared into the corridor. Just another kid with a tool case. We were wrong. Their strength is human. I closed the recording. My aide was staring at me. Sir? Well, what do we tell the fleet command? I looked around the observation deck. 12 delegations, the finest warriors our species could produce, all defeated by one retired teenager with a wrench and a basic understanding of physics. Tell them we need to update our threat assessments, I said, all of them. Tap, tap, tap. My claws wouldn't stop. Probably never would again. Because I'd finally understood why humans conquered the galaxy. It wasn't because they were stronger, or faster, or smarter. It was because they treated war like engineering. Problems to be solved, variables to be managed, outcomes to be achieved. And Marcus Chen, he was very good at solving problems. End personal log 848.7-B. Recommendation, immediate diplomatic overture to human colonial alliance. Secondary recommendation, never, ever challenge their children.